Alright, good morning everybody. It is concrete day. Me and Sam are right now just checking all of our levels, making sure everything is looking good, everything's set up properly for the pour. What Sam's doing right now is he's putting a 1-inch foam around this pipe right now. This is a gas line. If there was an earthquake or anything, because we do live in Southern California, we don't want that gas line to shear off. So the foam helps prevent that. Also, there's a water main line right over here. So we're gonna put some foam around this one as well. And then we are gonna re-snap our lines on the walls so that we can make sure we can see all the concrete levels when we do start to rod this job out. As you can see, when we wet down the concrete yesterday, they got a little faded. So we're just gonna fix that. There's our foam, looking beautiful.
You can always come back later on and just cut off the excess.
Yeah.
Morning.
There's Leo, the concrete pumper. We got the guys here. We got 2 extra finishers today. Gonna be helping us out. Morning. There's the last foam piece we're placing right now. Boom, gorgeous. 1 inch was perfect. Okay, but before we pour out everything, I did want to just show you guys how the whole job is looking right now. All set up, not poured out. Wood. So if you notice, there's no dobies or chairs on the rebar. We're just gonna be lifting this up as we pour out. No big deal. I got one guy dedicated to lifting the rebar today, so it shouldn't be a problem. There's our little patio porch step. Everything's looking good. We tested all the irrigation yesterday as well to make sure there's no leaks underneath the concrete, and everything was looking good. Alright guys, what is going on? This is Tim Odell with Odell Complete Landscape, and here we are starting the pour. As you can see, we blew out the hose with some water because you want to always prime your hose before you pour any concrete. You don't want any clogs in the hose. Could be dangerous. And you can see he shot a lot of the wetter concrete over on the other side, so we can keep the wet concrete on the bottom just so it dries out a little bit better. So I got my main finishers out here today, Alfredo and Julio. These guys are awesome. They're really good finishers. I always like to have them on the jobs. And they're starting to rod this this backyard patio out. And I always kind of think of rodding as kind of like a dance. You know, you got to be in sync with your partner, and you know, make sure you're following the movements. There's usually one guy kind of leading, so it's kind of like a dance. I know the Aussies like to single screed, but you know, in America we usually double up on the rod. And then here I am kind of leveling out that patio step. I need a little more concrete in there actually. Usually when we are rodding too and there's not forms where you can get your levels off of, one guy is usually setting the height of the levels for the rod guys on the side, just so it's that much easier for the guys that are rodding. Like this area right here, we have a chalk line against this house, so I'm just kind of leveling it out for the guys. When they get over here, they can just keep screeding back. Won't have to worry because this is already leveled out. And that's kind of how we, you know, rod out concrete and start the whole process. So here I am right here, just using the wooden bowl float to float out this concrete walkway area. And honestly, I seem like a lot of people don't really like using these wooden bowl floats. I don't know why. I personally enjoy them. I think they really flatten out and smooth the concrete out. Plus, it gives the concrete time to really evaporate that water. I mean, if you hit it with a magnesium bowl float right away, there's a possibility you might be entrapping the water underneath the concrete, and that might turn out to be a bad finish. But let me know what you guys think, if you guys prefer the magnesiums or the wood bowl floats. Serious? Okay. Alright guys, we just got done pouring out the whole job. We only had about 3/4 of a yard left over, so we're pretty much on the money with our concrete calculations. Now what we're doing, since we just got done rotting out the whole job, we're going back, bowl floating the whole job, filling any low spots that might have not been rotted to perfection. That's okay, as long as you get close enough, you can bowl float the rest out. You can see this guy right here. This is Alfredo. He's a great finisher. He's throwing concrete in low spots right now, where he can see with his eyes as he's bowl floating, because the bowl float will reveal any low spots. And what's great about that wooden bowl float is it really drags the cream around and smooths it all out, because it's got a more grit to it. So that's what we're doing right now, and we'll update you as we move along with the project. So here's some closer shots on Alfredo throwing some cream into the concrete, trying to get those levels to perfection, where, like I said, things may not have been rotted to perfection, but that's okay, as long as once you're rotting, you really check your levels and make sure that everything is nice, flat, and even. And then over here, we are starting the edge. We got a walking edger. It's a 12-inch edger. 1/2-inch radius. Makes it really easy because you don't have to bend over and edge the whole thing when you can just walk it, and it's just so much faster. And then we have one guy going around knocking out all the lines that the edger causes, because every time you edge early on when it's pretty wet, you're always going to make a line, as you can see as he's going down. Alright, what we're doing right here now is we are just snapping lines in the concrete so we can get nice straight lines off the major crack points. We did measure out the slab too to determine exactly where we want to put all of our joints, and we decided mainly, of course, you have to put joints on the corners. As you can see, the planter bed is getting 2 joints off of each corner, and there's a little joint on the very far right side of that planter bed as well. Now this next joint we're going to be placing is going to go off the corner, from corner to corner, from the planter bed way over there next to that little guy, and where Alfredo in the green hat is standing. So it'll be a nice straight line, instead of having to run one big joint down the middle of this concrete patio slab. We found a way to avoid that, because I personally thought it wouldn't look as good, and we were able to make nice like 10 by 8 or 10 by 10 slabs out of this whole patio, because the next joint is going to go right off the corner of that form. And we do have a measurement on that one, so we know exactly where to place it to make sure it's straight. Okay, we just placed joints. We use string lines to mark everything out. We snap the string line on the concrete so that we're perfectly straight when we put our joints in. I'm gonna show you how we got all the joints in. So we went off the corner of the form right there. That's an easy crack point. We measured the distance all the way over. We had about 12 feet roughly. So we ended up going right off the corner of this board, which is 2.5, all the way down to the other planter box, which is another 2.5. So we got about 9 foot slab right here. And the other joints, we went off that corner to our step, corner of that planter box down, and last other corner of the planter box right down there. So that's how we did that. Next one, we're just going to divide this walkway up evenly, and then we're going to be hitting the joint right here off the corner of the house, down on the planter box over there as well, corner of the house. But we have to wait a little bit because this side's a little bit wetter. So here we are dividing up this small little walkway with our Arizona joiner. These Arizona joiners are actually really nice because the radius on them are quite rounded, and they're 3/4 radius, but they seem a little more wide and more rounded. So when you do start to put your joints in, they just come out a lot cleaner than a normal 3/4 inch joiner. Because the normal 3/4 inch joints are kind of more like a V shape, and these have more rounded at the end, so the joints just come out cleaner. And if you've used them, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you gotta try them one day. And then this is how we got all of our joints established. We used a 6-foot straight edge cutter, and this is great because the longer you have your joint cutters, the straighter they're gonna be. Even though you have string lines established, it's just nice to be able to cover a lot of area once you're cutting your joints. So now that we've already gone over the concrete patio with a funny trowel a couple of times, even with a funny float and a Fresno trowel, we are starting to get out there on the knee boards. And what we're going to do while we're on the knee boards is we're hitting the step, cleaning that up, stripped the forms already. One of us, or a couple of us, are going down on the sides, hitting all of the sides where the guy in the middle on his knee boards won't be able to reach. So it's just less work on him to do. And then we have our other guy going down the side yard, checking levels with the 4-foot Milwaukee level, and also putting in joints now at this point. Since we couldn't reach this point with our walking joiner, we had to do this by hand as soon as we got in here. He's also using the 4-foot Milwaukee level as a straight edge to get these joints nice and straight, and then he spaced them every on major crack points like off the corner of the house, and then after that it was all divided evenly. Alright, so we're coming down to the last few passes over the concrete that we're going to be doing. As you can see, this spot of the concrete was getting hit by the sun pretty hard, so we had to broom that pretty earlier compared to the rest of the concrete. Here's some close-ups on it as we were brooming it and how the finish is coming out. As you can see, it's looking beautiful. Nice, perfect, easy broom. So we're doing one more quick pass as one guy is finishing the rest of the brooming. And you can see the broom is coming out amazing looking. Now I believe this broom was a 50% nylon, 50% horsehair. Don't quote me on it though, because Alfredo's got a lot of brooms that he likes to use. But I believe this one was one of the 50/50s, which is one of my dad's favorites as well. And you noticed, if you guys were watching that closely, he wasn't brooming past that joint line because he doesn't want to smear any of the cream into those joints. It just doesn't look as pretty. You'll get like a double crossover of the broom and it never looks as nice. Okay, we just wrapped up brooming all of the concrete. The concrete patio came out amazing, super nice broom finish. Just gonna take you guys on a close-up on everything around the patio and then show you how everything turned out. So we got a really nice light broom finish. Everything's sloping really great. We checked all levels as we were out on the knee boards, making sure we were getting proper slopage. The joints look beautiful. We used 3/4 inch diameter joints. Arizona joiners, super nice, heavy. So when you do start joining, push through those joints even easier. You can see now what I meant earlier by one big slab in the middle and divided the two sides with the joints on each side. Just made that patio just come out that much nicer looking. Here's our little walkway. To the side yard. Side yard is completely concreted except for the planter bed there and there. That wraps up the concrete portion of this job. All we have to do really now is finish up the sod and irrigation, which irrigation is like 90% done. But this is it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, comment any questions you may have on the video so far. There will be one more part coming up after this, and it will be the sod laying and the timer as well that we're going to be setting up. So stay tuned for that.